Chapter 27. One shot. One kill. Derek lay flat on his back, head slightly raised, staring wide-eyed at the harpoon lodged in his chest. The rusted metal hook had pierced the neutron steel alloy all the way through, its jagged tip just brushing against his sternum. A few more centimeters, and it would have been over. There weren't many things in the galaxy capable of punching through that alloy. Apparently, on this absurd planet, a rusty old iron hook could do it without breaking a sweat. He'd gotten lucky. But honestly, maybe it would have been better if that damn hook had torn through his heart. At least then, this whole ridiculous ordeal would be over. Ivory stared at him, unblinking. Since his transformation, his face had become an emotionless metal mask. Two hollow voids where his eyes should have been. And yet, Derek couldn't shake the feeling that Bastard was grinning with satisfaction as he started dragging him across the grassy clearing, the chain clinking as it reeled in, meter by meter. After tossing him around like a cat playing with its prey, he was probably getting ready to finish the job. Nova's legs remained frozen after the sudden malfunction, pinning him to the ground, defenseless. Derek let his head drop back with a sigh. He felt tired. So tired. With every step, the universe seemed to take joy in hurling bigger, stinkier loads of crap his way. But even he had a limit to how much shit he could take. Above him, the night sky blazed with stars, millions scattered across the heavens. Even filtered through the Nova's display, they were breathtaking. Derek snorted. Look at that bastard, showing off with its sparkling stars. All just a facade to hide the fact that it's mostly dark matter and black holes waiting to swallow you whole. Damn you, universe, he growled through clenched teeth. Derek! Isabel's panicked voice jolted him out of his thoughts. He raised his head just in time to see Ivory's massive hand let go of the chain, clench into a fist, and come crashing down toward him like a sledgehammer. The tactical intel relay projected the fist's trajectory on Derek's display. He twisted his torso and narrowly avoided the blow. The impact landed inches from his head with a deafening thud, sending a shockwave rippling through the ground. If that punch had connected, he wouldn't have a head anymore. It also helped that his movements had been slower than before. Maybe the bastard was getting tired too. From the ground, Derek grabbed the discarded chain and swung it, wrapping it tightly around Ivory's legs. Just then, a notification flashed across the display. Actuator 48C back online. Vonda, bless her, must have figured out a way to bypass the issue, and Nova could run again. With a grunt, he scrambled to his feet and bolted, sprinting in circles around the metal behemoth. With each pass, the chain looped tighter around its legs. Ivory retaliated with a sharp yank, and Derek was flung toward the metal giant like a rag doll. Even with just one arm, the sheer strength of the monster was terrifying. Shit, Derek muttered. He activated his plasma blades mid-flight, aimed into Ivory's chest. The reinforced chest plate stopped them cold. Ivory's fist slammed down, sending Derek crumpling to the ground at his feet. For a moment, everything went white. His vision blurred, unfocused. It was like a truck had just come crashing down on his shoulder. Then his vision snapped back into focus. A warning flashed on his display. Left shoulder joint offline. Derek gritted his teeth. The searing pain confirmed it wasn't just the Nova's shoulder that was out of commission. Now they were both down to one functional arm. He rolled out of the way just as Ivory's fist smashed into the ground again, kicking up a cloud of dirt. The armor's healing system was already working on his shoulder. The pain dulled, but without the joint, Nova's left arm was dead weight for the rest of the fight. The one edge he had was gone in an instant. He was running out of options. Derek hauled himself to his feet, panting. Ivory didn't attack immediately either. His massive frame wavered slightly on its metal legs. The two locked eyes, both breathing hard, both nearing their limits. One way or another, this fight would end soon. Derek raised his remaining arm and activated the plasma cannon. Thankfully, it was the enhanced one, and was still operational. He took his time aiming. He focused on calming his breath, trying to keep his arm steady. "What's wrong?" Ivory's voice rumbled, echoing like it was coming from the depths of an elevator shaft. "Did your little toy break again?" Through the neural interface, Derek issued commands for a precision shot. Adjustments for arm movement, wind resistance, and thousands of other variables ticked across his display. He needed to buy some more time. "You know, there's something you still don't get. And it's not about who they think I am. It's about who I really am." Ivory tilted his head. "And what's that supposed to be?" "I'm Derek Steele, and people can say a lot of things about me. I'm a thief, a genius, a soldier. I've done a lot of things in my life, and most of them were bullshit I should have never done. But there's one thing I've always tried not to become. A killer." Ivory let out a laugh. "Well, congrats. That's really something to be proud of." Derek shook his head, expression unmoved. "No, that's exactly the point. Because of you, now I have to become one." Ivory shifted uncomfortably. "What the hell are you saying? Are you insane? You're down an arm now. In just a few moments, I'll put an end to you and your nonsense." Derek sighed. His stomach twisted into a tight, inescapable knot. There would be no turning back after this. But without taking this step, there would be no moving forward either. Not in this world. "Exactly," Derek said. "That's why time's up. I gave you every chance to back off, but you chose to see this through." He tightened his grip on the controls, his heart hammering in his chest. "Goodbye, you worthless sack of scrap." A new notification flashed at the center of his display. "Advanced targeting complete." Derek exhaled sharply and muttered, "I never wanted to be a killer." And he fired. In the darkness, the hole was nearly invisible to the naked eye, but for Nova's targeting system, it was as obvious as a neon bullseye. The single plasma bolt struck true, hitting the hollow eye socket in Ivory's mask. The shot ricocheted within the metal box that was now the man's head, much like it had inside the pyramid. Only this time, it was trapped in an infinitely smaller space. The eye slits flared like headlights in the dark as the metal of his skull began to glow red from the internal heat and pressure, barely contained by the reinforced alloy. His brain was still human. Vonda had said so, and as always, she was right. The health bar above Ivory's head dropped to 0. Thin wisps of smoke curled up from the hollow cavities where his eyes had once been. The heat from the plasma had surely incinerated any organic components left in his head. Whatever had been in there keeping Ivory's consciousness intact was now gone. Derek lowered his weapon. A message flashed across the display. Auric level increased. Level iron. 6 achieved. The empty metal shell that had been Ivory stood motionless, frozen in time. His companions at the edge of the clearing stirred uneasily, their confidence visibly shaken. They exchanged uncertain glances, frowning. After watching Derek's shots bounce off Ivory so many times, they still hadn't grasped what had just happened. Isabel and Tunga remained silent as well, their eyes locked on the scene before they, too, exchanged uncertain glances. Then, with a groaning creak, Ivory's massive metal body tilted backward and came crashing down, hitting the ground with a thunderous impact. Stiff. Lifeless. He was gone. Derek tried to swallow, but his throat felt like it had closed up. He tried to breathe, but it was as if his chest had turned to iron, as heavy and unyielding as Ivory's own metal shell. Derek turned to Isabel and Tunga. who were still surrounded by the remaining bandits, their eyes wide in realization. The bandits gawked at their leader's lifeless form, mouths hanging open, as if their brains couldn't quite process what had happened. Clearly, they had never even considered the possibility that Ivory might lose. Considering the level gap, he couldn't really blame them. They had no way of knowing about Nova's advanced targeting system or the weak spot in Ivory's defense, especially since he probably hadn't exactly advertised it. They weren't ready for this outcome, and that made them unpredictable and dangerous. Derek raised his functional arm. "It's over. Whatever business you had with your leader, it's done. I don't want to kill you. You haven't done anything to me, and I haven't done anything to you except freeing you from that asshole. Leave." He held his breath, his heart pounding in his chest. If they lost it, he would have to kill them all, and fast, before any of them could retaliate. There was no more time for games. "You," growled a man with a long black beard and a hairy chest. You killed him?" "I did," Derek replied grimly. "And I wish I hadn't. I tried." The man stared at Derek with wide eyes, then glanced at his companions, who exchanged uneasy looks. Derek swallowed, his mouth bone dry. He could almost see them weighing their options. Despite Ivory's death, the bandits still outnumbered them. Isabel and Tunga were unarmed, but the bandits had also just seen their leader fall to someone who, by all accounts, shouldn't have stood a chance. The odds of another fight hung in the balance. "Derek!" Vanda's voice cut through the silence. "Their weapons are charging with energy." His heart sank. "Damn it!" Tunga let out a sudden cry. "Shaitani! Shaitani!" All eyes turned to him as he lifted his arms toward the treetops. "Come forth, servants of the demon!" he shouted. The canopy above stirred. One by one, tiny blue lights flickered to life in the darkness. First 2, then 4, then 10, then 40. The treetops came alive. Each pair of glowing points drifted like lanterns in the night. A shrill monkey's cry pierced the air, followed by a cacophony of screeches. The branches crackled as arcs of electricity surged through the canopy. The 5 bandits stared, mouths agape, as Isabel dove to the ground and snatched her sword from the dirt. She rolled to her feet and, in one swift motion, hurled the staff toward Tunga, who caught it mid-air. It all happened in seconds. By the time the bandits refocused, they realized their mistake. "Bastards!" roared the bearded man, lifting his hammer, which began to glow at the head. "You think that'll make a difference? Isabel pointed her sword at him and unleashed a burst of electricity. In the same instant, the monkeys joined in, their electric arcs cascading down from the treetops like veins of blue lightning, converging on the hammer-wielding man. A golden shield appeared, enveloping him. The electric strikes clung to it like webs, tightening until the shield shattered with a sound, like breaking glass. The electricity consumed him. His body convulsed violently, his eyes rolled back, and he collapsed. His weapon hit the ground with a dull thud as his blackened, blistered body lay smoldering. "What a dumbass," Derek muttered through gritted teeth. Tunga stomped out the small flames, licking at the corpse. "Fire is bad for the jungle." He turned to the remaining bandits, their eyes wide with terror, weapons trembling in their hands. "Who's next?" he asked. The 3 dropped their weapons and bolted into the jungle. The screeching monkeys gave chase, their electric lights flickering through the dark. Derek watched them go, too drained to care. Those lunatic monkeys would follow them to the ends of this world, and there was nothing he could do about it. The tension drained from his body all at once, and he let out a deep breath. It was over. 2 were dead, but none of their own. Not exactly a victory, but it would have to do. He tried to stretch, but pain flared through every inch of his body. Nova's healing system was working, but it would take time. And there'd be no painkillers. He'd already maxed out his dosage during the fight. He grimaced. Tonight was going to suck. Isabel marched up to him, glaring. Derek blinked. "Yes. That Ivory," she asked. "You took him out in one shot. How the hell was that even possible?" He didn't have an energy shield, just armor. And that armor had weak spots. He probably didn't even think of them as weaknesses because, in this world, in the dark, no one would have been able to hit something as small as the eye slits. For Nova's advanced targeting system, that wasn't a problem. She arched an eyebrow. "So why the hell did you wait so long to kill him?" "Because I'm not in the same rush as you to slaughter people like wild beasts," Isabel frowned. "So, what was your plan? Wait for him to kill you first, then take the rest of us down with you?" "No," Derek said. "I figured if I beat him up badly enough, he'd back off. Turns out an Auric level Bronze 2 was a bit too much for me." "Level Bronze 2?" Isabel asked. Derek nodded. "Yeah, you guys probably sense an opponent's aura instinctively in a fight. For me, it's different. Nova's software picks it up automatically and turns it into numbers." Isabel rubbed her temple, grimacing like she had a headache. "You're a damn fool. You knew exactly how much stronger he was. You had a way to take him out from the start, and you still risked all our lives. For what? Because you thought you could intimidate him?" Derek pointed at her. "Yeah, I definitely preferred you when you were kneeling and calling me Messiah." Isabel started to speak, then shut her mouth. She clenched her fists, turned, and marched toward the jungle, shaking her head. Derek watched her go for a moment, then shifted his gaze to Tunga, who was staring at him with a flat look. Derek smiled weakly. Tunga just shook his head and followed Isabel into the jungle.